Hello and welcome to the Football Revolution. I'm your host, Gio. Thanks for joining us. No Anzac Day or Easter to celebrate this week, so we celebrate not having to listen to my attempted Greek. And welcome to our Greek freak, my co-host, VIG. Good evening, mate.
Good evening.
Do you like that intro for yourself?
Very good. You got me.
I know you were ready to start firing.
I'm frazzled. I was ready to start firing at you. I'm frazzled.
I know you were, but I think everybody, you included, is so happy this week they're not listening to me say, was it Pasha?
Kalopasha.
Yeah, so
we should mix that up and put on a,
It's not as bad as when I said Berengai, but it's right up there.
Close.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say.
It's good year though.
So we're still buzzing from our first video show last week, and we have another one coming fast and furious to you this week.
We do.
So 5 games to view in our Revolution Roundup, almost back to normal this week without all the catch-up games, just missing Sydney and City, who are still away finishing off their ACL campaigns, and they'll be back this week. So there'll be full team, full complement. I think there is a few catch-up games this week too coming up, so I think there'll be 7 or 8 games this week, but at least this week we're starting to get back to normal just before we get into the final series.
Yeah, a bit of normality, slowed down a little bit, but we'll just ramp it back up heading into the finals.
So touching on the AFC Champions League, did I say ACL? Is that what I said before?
ACL, yeah, you can call it ACL.
Oh, look, Champions League for Asia.
League, AFC Champions League.
All right. So
it's got plenty of names.
You've been quite kind to me tonight. I'm a bit scared. But, so in the AFC Champions League, Melbourne City with a solid 3-0 win over United City. They finished on the same points as BP Pathum, but finished second in Group G on goal difference. So they must wait for all groups to be played. I think it's tonight or tomorrow to be completed to see if they progress to the next round. So the rules are that I think because the Chinese team, which Aaron Moy plays for, has pulled out, they're not going to count. So usually you just look and see, okay, which second team's had the most points.
So
but
normally
it's not that
simple. First goes through, right?
Yep, pretty straightforward.
And then second, whatever the second best teams, they go through.
But now they're saying because it's a disadvantage to that group because there's only 3 teams, the fourth team doesn't count. So the games played against them, you take those points away, which means if you're a team that's sitting second and you did really well against that team, it's bad luck for you. And if you jagged a result against a good side, but you unfortunately stuffed up against a bad side, well, it pays for you in this case.
Yeah, look, I'm not having it.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either.
I'm not a big fan of what you just said. It just, I don't know, compromises the competition in my eyes.
Look, I'm hoping that City get through because it's been a really good campaign for their first ever crack at
and if they finish second and they're part of the second best teams that go through, then they should go through, yeah?
Yeah, most
regardless
definitely.
If they beat the fourth place team twice and some other team beat the first team but lost to the fourth place team, like it doesn't really make sense to me. But
look, it's a crazy.
Something's got to be done.
It's a crazy loophole. But I think seeing some of the games as I did, I think City were definitely one of the better sides. And to be honest, we were very unlucky not to have gone through. Look, a couple of draws has cost them in the end. So it goes to show that you must take your chances. You must cash every point in you can. So look, hopefully they don't learn the hard way. But look, fingers crossed they go through. While Sydney will be playing for pride against Haeong, hoping to get off the bottom of Group H with a win tonight. So anything but a win, they will finish rock bottom of Group H, I think they are. Whereas if they win tonight against them, they'll jump Haeong. They'll go to 5. Haeong will sit on 2, but they're still a million miles away from being in a spot that will qualify them for the next knockout phase.
Yeah, look, it's been tough for Sydney. In a tough group, mind you, Yokohama and Jeonbuk, who are 2 powerhouses of Asian football. So not to be, not that we didn't expect this. We knew they were going to have a tough run, but to have 0 wins from 5 games, it hasn't been a great campaign for them.
Yeah, it's not skies are blue, right?
No, skies are grey and it's been raining plenty.
Mate, probably more enjoyable for me saying this to you when you're a Sky Blues fan than it is for me. But look, I've still got a lot of guys there that I'm a big fan of who, have been good to the show. So I'm getting no enjoyment from this, and I don't get any enjoyment watching Australian teams not deliver over there either.
We want the Aussie teams to succeed, whether it's Sydney or Melbourne City or Victory or Brisbane Roar.
Glory.
Whoever it is, Perth Glory. Look, I would love to see Perth Glory in the Asian Champions League one day in my lifetime.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not sure.
Don't hold your breath. But we have handed a starting debut to our new segment, TFR Allstars, which we'll tell you a little bit more about later on in the show. Quick update of the table. So City sitting on 46. Victory have jumped up into second on 45. Western United on 44. Adelaide on 40. Mariners 36. And the Phoenix also on 36. Outside the top 6 is the Bulls, who lost tonight to the Jets. They're 3-2. 32, sorry. Sydney on 31. And Victory and Adelaide both have played an extra game. So at the moment, there is a chance for Western United to leapfrog them back into the top 2 spot. And there's also an opportunity, I suppose, for teams just below Sydney to try and catch on them. But at the moment, all the actions between the 3 Melbourne sides, Adelaide, the Mariners, who are going great guns, and the Phoenix.
Yeah, look, and Western United missed a massive opportunity to go top of the league, and they've slipped down to 3rd now. So all to play for with a couple games to go. And you know, the 6 for me, I think the 6 is probably sorted. I can't see MacArthur have lost 3 in a row. I'm massively disappointed with them, their form. I think it's 4 out of the last 5 they've lost now. So they've just been disappointment after disappointment. And I think the top 6 deserve to be there. I don't think any of the 3 or 4 teams sitting outside that top 6 should even be in contention.
Look, I know this is going to really upset you, but I'm going to hit you with it anyway. I haven't done a wrap for this week because of the fact that when I was reviewing the show, the Jets and the Bulls had only just started, so I didn't do it because I wasn't sure what was going to happen in that game.
Yeah, we are a bit early, aren't we?
Yeah, look, we're a bit early this week, but at the end of the day, as long as we get out a quality product, I think that's what the listeners are after. So it doesn't really matter what time of day we do it, but we have, because of other circumstances, jumped out the gun a little bit quicker this week. But as a result, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm sure the listeners will let us know. There is no wrap this week.
No wrap. That's all right. Look, we move on. We go on.
All right, so Revolution Roundup, there was 5 games played, as we said. The only game missing was the fact that Sydney and City were both away, still finishing off their Asian campaigns, or Asian Champions League campaigns. So 5 games were played. The first one being on the Friday night between the Victory and the Phoenix, 2 current top 6 sides. The Melbourne-based side, the Victory, ran out 3-1 winners. Worst possible start, conceding inside the opening 2 minutes via a D'Agostino goal. But Ufuk Talay will be absolutely furious that Pennington dived in deep in Victory's half, 2 passes, and then it's a goal. They've almost run length of the field. Not in the final 2 minutes when your team's tired. 2 passes, and they've run length of the field to take a 1-0 lead in a pretty big game.
Yeah, huge game for Wellington and a terrible way to start. Look, the Victory, Rojas, he's been outstanding, I think, the last maybe the last 2-3 months. I think he's been really good, back to the form that we saw him sort of rise up in the A-League and get his move overseas. So, but
also the form that made the Victory want to bring him back.
Oh, 100%. So
because when he did finally,
it, and I think if I get this correct, I think he's off contract at the end of the season. So, you know, if I was Wellington, I would be trying to swoop on him and get him home.
No, look, I hope he stays at the Victory.
You hope he stays, but if Wellington are smart, I think they should swoop on him and try getting back to his homeland. Yeah,
so look, Kelleher with a big stop to deny Piscopo bringing the Phoenix level from the spot, and the ball is played back in, and then Broxham was adjudged to have elbowed the same man who missed the penalty, and they gave another penalty, which this time Sandoval...
How good was the VAR?
Yeah, honestly. It was like Comedy Central.
No, we thought we got rid of the VAR after the first one. The penalty was awarded.
Yep.
Then he misses the penalty. Then he goes back in.
And then the ball comes back in. And then he gives another VAR. And the funny thing is, as we said, out of all the players that had to get elbowed in the head, the second time it was the same guy that missed the first penalty. So who's on first? So Sandoval went the same way, and Kelleher almost saved it again. So if he'd saved it, that would have been it for me. I would have.
No, it would have been better if he saved it. It went back out, and then it came back in, and then it went to the VAR, and then another penalty went to the VAR again.
I would have thrown my headphones, my cans, my microphone. I would have chucked them, and we would have been done and dusted. Because, like I said, it was too much for me to bear. But look, the long and short of it is it brought the Phoenix level. And then later on, which was another thing in the game, so there was just too much happening. So Chaos disallowed a Victory second due to a handball or a foul in the lead-up, and then award a penalty, which Brimmer calmly slots home. So I'm not sure why that was brought back, and then any which way, it just looks like, I suppose, Karma or Destiny jumps in and says, you got it wrong, we're going to fix it.
Here you go. I can't explain it. And just the time it takes to make these decisions, and then to even get them wrong after it takes so long, I don't know. It was just one thing after another. It was just a calamity of, you know, you look at each other and you're just laughing, right?
Yeah, and then the only thing that was consistent was that the end Rojas finished off a great team goal to go 3-1 up, and that's all she wrote. So
lovely assist from Davison as well. So
yeah, look, and that's all she wrote. So look,
Victory, the better team in that, 100%.
Oh, they were, and look, in saying that though, I asked for the Phoenix to put in a better performance than they have been off the back of a win. I think they were better. Yep. I think they got a couple of decisions that went against them. The penalty won in their favour. Look, Broxham jumped up. Was it a clear-cut pen? I don't know. Sometimes that would be given. Maybe more times it would be. Maybe less times it wouldn't be. But I don't think it was a clear-cut every time that's a pen. So, look, they got a little bit of luck in that instance. But, look, they just weren't good enough. The victory took their opportunity. And as I said, they're not hitting any great heights at the moment. But Popper's team just seems to know how to win.
They're ticking over.
And they're sitting in second at the moment. And while City have been away and they're not actually earning any points because they're on other duties,
put some pressure
they've just
on
been chipping away at it. So, moving on to the first of the three, I think, Saturday games. Mariners 1, Western United 0. Monster win for the Mariners, no less than they deserved, and it may have sunk Western United's Premier Plate hopes.
Yeah, huge loss for Western United. I think we need to talk about Jamie Young, the human force field, because he did everything humanly possible to keep Western United in this game, right? And when you've got a keeper like that, and this I purely believe this is why they are where they are in the table, because he's had such a good season.
Yeah, look, we always talk so highly of Jamie Young, and it's totally deserved. But I think the issue was that Cummings, Nkololo, Maresque, every time they had the ball, it was setting off alarm bells.
Yep.
It was all sorts of problems, and then it became, everything that they threw on super sub Grancol, the hero who scored the winning goal. But every single time that Cummings and Kololo and that touched the ball, they looked dangerous. Then you're bringing your Renner off the bench. Now, to let's be honest, this is no disrespect, but we're talking now at the start of the year, we said the Mariners were always in every single game, but at the moment, they've gone out against a team who's one of the top three teams in the comp and absolutely spanked them. And and Western United give away possession, we know that, but even when they give away possession, they dominate parts of the game, which means that's why they win. In this instance here, it was all the Mariners.
They weren't so dominant. It was. The Mariners could have been 3-0 up at half-time, really. And like you said, West United are comfortable giving up possession of the ball, and they're comfortable sitting in their defensive blocks, and they're very well structured. But when you've got the likes of Nkololo, Maresh, Cummins is a handful. We know that. He's running around, he's bumping into players, he gets his body in front of people. Maresh is a very tidy player. I think having him and Cummins up front, I think they really complement each other.
Yep.
So they've been working really well. Nkololo's been... Since Christmas or since the start of the new year, he's been unbelievable for Central Coast.
Yep.
He honestly, he's really settled in really nicely. And then they're playing some good football, and they deserve, like we said last week, they've got their style. They don't deviate from it. Everyone knows what they're doing, and they've got some good young kids in the team. And they're playing a style of football that deserves to be in the top six.
Yeah, look, when we say that they give up possession, normally Western United, they're telling us it's not intentional, but they still know what they're doing and they have a plan. I don't think they got a choice against the Mariners. The Mariners didn't give up possession. The Mariners just had the ball and hustled, and they were the ones that were controlling the game, and they were the ones that said, you can have this small amount of possession, whereas normally they'll go, we'll just tuck in behind the ball, wait for a mistake, and we'll hit you on the counter. They got no choices against the Mariners, and I think they got some early warning shots. So Red Hot Cummings unlucky not to open the scoring when he hit the woodwork early on with a fierce drive, and then a little bit later on, Western United dodged a bullet again when Nkololo's cross put away by Maresca had fractionally crossed the line, but it was the correct call. So... look, I think they had some warnings. I think Jamie Young probably saved the scoreline from looking even better for the Mariners and worse for his team. But look, he will definitely be worth every dollar. No matter what he's done this year, he'll be worth every dollar from here on in, not only to try and steal this Premier's plate from City, which I think they've blown their chances. I think Royo last week's put the kiss of death on him because he said that was his tip, and 1 week in and they've already dropped off the pace. But I think he will, especially into the final series.
He also tipped Perth Glory for
he could be huge
a top six spot, didn't he?
I think he did as well. So
we'll find the tape.
So look, we'll see what happens for both those sides bouncing back this week. The second of the Saturday games.
We're talking about Garang Cole. We'll just touch on his finish. 17-year-old. We'll talk about his brother as well. Made his debut for Sandhausen in the Bundesliga 2 over the weekend.
Okay.
Sent off after 16 minutes.
So he had a better outing than his
came on as a sub and got sent off. So the younger brother's out doing the older brother. I know how you feel. Well,
look, at least the parents have one good and one bad. So hopefully it'll offset the weekend for the boys. That's it. Moving on to the Glory and the Wanderers, which ended in Perth 1-1. Zadkovic picks up his second point as Glory coach. Sturridge, Fornaroli and Keogh back in the squad. But they ended...
Sturridge?
Yeah, so
Who's that?
I don't know. He's this guy that they
Some
found.
bloke.
He fell out the sky. 25% possession, 3 shots on target. So I know everyone's been saying, yeah, we've got a young squad, and everyone's been saying give them a break. But even when they have the big names back, and I know they're a bit rusty against a team, the Wanderers, who aren't even in the 6, they only had, like I said, one quarter of possession and 3 shots on target. So things aren't going well for the Glory. The season needs to end quickly. 1 point was probably, or it's doubled his total for the season so far, Zatkovic, and I think that's probably the highlight to come out of the game for him.
Yeah, look, it wasn't a game of very high quality football. Let's just say that. Look, good to see Daniel Sturridge back. Too little, too late for Perth Glory. Bruno Fornaroli showed a bit of class on the score sheet. Could have scored again. I think late in the second half.
He was chalked out for offside.
For offside, and then he had another chance in the second half where he dragged one wide. So, those things sometimes, he might have scored a hat trick, and Perth runaway winners. But Wanderers, they're still in big trouble. They need to sort themselves out.
Ogawa's strike was a nice equaliser.
It was a nice strike. It was a little bit rushed. I don't think his first touch was great. I think he sort of knocked it a little too far ahead of himself, but he recovered well and put it into the bottom corner, which was a nice finish.
Even with Fornaroli, even with his goal, originally it was disallowed. To my amazement, I was sitting there saying, "What are we watching this for?" It's just a waste of everyone's time, isn't it?
How did the linesman get that wrong? You could.
I don't know.
You see in the shades of the grass, right? There's a line in the shade of the grass.
But that was in line with that one defender next to him.
So
There was a
far
player
back.
behind him.
I know.
And then they got the goalkeeper.
I know.
So I don't actually know what he was watching. Does he understand there needs to only
was a
be
poor decision,
one
but-
player between you and the goalkeeper, not two or three?
Yeah, but surely that only takes the VAR can see that in a split second, right? And they make a decision to call it. Why does it take so long?
It should be quicker than Macca's drive-through, right?
Depends what Macca's you go to, mate.
It's true, isn't it? Okay. Mate, I asked you last week about Ruben Zatkovic staying on next season, and we obviously know your thoughts on that. A couple of things I want to ask you. So is Bruno wasted here?
Yes.
So
Pure and simple.
Can you see him staying at Glory next year?
I don't know what his personal circumstances are like in his family life. I know he's probably pretty happy living in Perth and playing there, and probably seen out his career there. So I can't comment on that. But
he must be watching because he was at City before. He must be watching J-Mac now, thinking that could have been me.
Oh, 100%. If I was another club, I would be trying to lure him away. Yes, 100%.
Who would you say? So if you had to pick a team now, who would be the team that you think?
God, I think any of the 3 Sydney teams could go for him. The Wanderers desperately need a focal point. I know Tom Mohamed's done a good job there, but they could do with the 2 of them. Or I think the player of the quality of Bruno.
Well, look,
he would
Tom Mohamed
nicely
definitely hasn't benefited from moving to a team, whereas the Phoenix are a unit that provide a lot of chances and work as a team. The Wanderers are more one out, right?
Yep.
Which means when you're a striker that relies on service, that's not the right place to be.
Yeah, I was saying if you're looking to if the Wanderers are going to rebuild, or if MacArthur, I don't know what's going on with Tommy Juric, if he's fit, if he's not. But I think the 3 Sydney teams, I don't know if like a Central Coast or a Newcastle, I'll say big enough, but then he's at Perth at the moment who aren't doing that well. So, any club in the A-League, they should be looking at Brisbane Roar could massively do with him, and they could build a team around him. But it just depends on the circumstances of each club and Bruno's circumstances. I think that he's pretty happy living in Perth and with his family there.
Okay, second question. So Rudin has a lot of work to do with the Wanderers in the off-season. They've got rumoured interest in Lawrence Thomas, bringing him back as their number 1, and also in the Mariners skipper, Bazanik. What do you think they need to do to rebuild? Now, obviously, a lot hasn't gone right this year, and they've got some really good players, but they just don't fit, right? It just seems to be this puzzle, right, that no one can seem to be able to get the best out of, and they keep signing good players, but they don't seem to be in the right positions, or they don't seem to have the right fit. So are they 2 players you'd be chasing, and if not, who would you be chasing if you were Rudin?
They're 2 very good players. I think Lawrence Thomas's team in Denmark, Sondrski, if I've said that right. Should ask my brother.
Don't ask me, though.
You've got no idea.
No. If you said the first letter right, I'm thinking good.
I think they're going to get relegated. So he'll be looking for an out there, and to come back to Sydney or Western Sydney would be a good fit for him. I think he'll play there, and he's a keeper of good quality. So, and they've had a few issues this year. I don't think Mahias has been what they sort of planned.
He hasn't lived up to expectations. He's come with good pedigree.
And he's
had a few okay games, but they've had to revert to probably their backup keeper.
They went to Margush, who was probably the second choice at the start of the year. So he's been playing. So they're obviously in the market for a first choice keeper, and Lawrence Thomas would be a great option.
Well, he was brilliant at Victory, even when they struggled, and they had a few seasons where they were near the bottom of the table. He was probably the pick of the bunch. Any position for the Victory, and he was a big reason why they probably ended up with as many points as they did, because he would regularly, we'd be talking about him in Save of the Week every week. Lawrence Thomas.
He was great. And Bozanic, look, I don't know what's happened at Central Coast with him. There's been some sort of fallout. For me, I'm be quite disappointed hearing about it. I don't know the full details, but he's a Central Coast boy. He's the captain of the club. He's, he loves Central Coast Mariners. So for him to have to walk away, or something's happened, which isn't good. So
the only positive is, though, on the weekend they had two young lads in there. So one obviously being our mate Josh Nisbet, as well as I think there's another young lad they had in the centre of the park. They were both outstanding against Neil Kilkenny and a team of experienced midfielders.
Definitely.
They definitely got the points, and it's a massive scalp for them against two absolute quality. And
the
other one was
quality youngsters.
Was Karen as well. So Karen and Kilkenny, and you've won the points.
They've got quality youngsters, but Ollie Bozanic is a Central Coast boy, right?
And he's got X factor.
And he's a leader, and it's something that if I think Central Coast with Ollie playing could even be a little further up the table, right? They might be second or third, or pushing for.
So we don't know what's going on there.
I don't know personally. No, I don't know. But for there to be rumours of him leaving the club, there's got to be something drastic has happened. All right.
Yep.
And if I'm the Wanderers, then absolutely go for him. Why not? If I was Sydney FC, I'd be sniffing around trying to lure him down. Because I think he's a great player. I think he's still got a couple good years left in him. I know he's probably 33 this year. So, but he's a quality player, and he's a leader as well. And I think both Sydney clubs and Macarthur, any of those teams could do with him.
Okay. And moving on to the last of the Saturday games, Adelaide 2 versus the Raw, who were nil. Carl Viet's men with their fourth straight win to cement themselves in the top 6 spots. So I think they did have the wobbles there for a little bit, and they were sort of sitting in a position where they could go on with it, or they could possibly drop out of the 6. But they were one of the teams who have straightened up and fly right. And they're now, like I said, 4 wins on, and they're sitting comfortably in the top 6. So they can concentrate on what they're going to do for the rest of the year. But not only that, knowing they're going to be playing finals football, in my opinion. Raw were having all sorts of problems with the silver service of Goodwin and the aerial threat it was causing. Both goals a result, and also almost a few others.
How good. Craig Goodwin was dropping absolute grenades into the box.
Oh, right? Yeah. That
every cross was quality.
You could see, if we had lost in translation there, we could have said what Holmes in goals or any of the defenders were thinking.
Had no idea.
No, they were thinking OMG, or maybe even something a bit more. Yeah, all fuck, yeah.
Every time Craig Goodwin lifted his head up, dead set, the Raw centre backs were looking at us and go, oh fuck, it's coming. Like,
and you've got Blackwood and
Hubasuki, tall timber, right? They were licking their lips. They got
the tongue out emoji. Mate, they're thinking, here comes another one.
They were loving it. Blackwood's header, great header. Ibasuki was throwing his body around. And he's been a good signing, I think, for Adelaide. He's a quality striker. He can hold the ball up. He gets his head on the end of deliveries. And I think playing Blackwood just off him, I think it's benefited George as well.
Look, Lockie Brook, I thought was fantastic. He terrorised Brisbane all night.
He could have had 3 or 4.
And look, he's unlucky not to get his reward with his first goal of the season after Kiddo's cutback had crossed the byline. He didn't know that, but he.
I thought they were going to get Robbie Slater out there to.
And then he's finished it, and it just reminds me of
it
always happens to me in tennis when they fault and I smash a winner, and then the second serve comes in and I hit it out, right? So he didn't obviously know that the ball had gone over the byline, but he put it away fantastically.
It was a great finish. He was after missing. He had a few opportunities, and he just thought, thank God I finally scored. He's run away celebrating, and he's turned around and wants to put his flag up.
And look, don't forget the other end of the pitch. I know it was 2-0 win, and they were created by Craig Goodwin, but Gauchi had an excellent save to deny Henry Hoare for bringing the Roar back into the game at 2-0. He made a really good save. Demney, the young striker, came through and missed. I don't know how he smashed it miles over the bar. And look, to be honest, I do feel sorry for the Roar. They've been pretty good this year. I think they've unearthed two good keepers, Henry Hoare and I think Parsons and some others. Parsons had a good year last year. This year he's had a few injuries, but I think he's starting to find his feet. But those two guys up front that they thought they were going to get some goals out of. Lescano, who I know he's ended up bagging a few, but he's probably missed some goals that I could have scored with one leg. And the other one, Demney, he's a young kid still, but he hasn't looked like scoring. He's further away from scoring than if he hadn't been even on the pitch.
Which is a shame because he had such a good preseason, and I think it was in the cup. He scored a few goals, so disappointing that he didn't really kick on this year.
He could be a full-time cup player.
Get as many minutes. It's not a bad gig.
And the final game of the round was today's, and that was played at the Bulls at home against Newcastle Jets. The Bulls, after a pretty poor run of form, really needed to. The Jets last week, I think, was their sign off for the finals. I think their poor performance finished off any hopes they had of playing in the finals. But they've come out, and to their credit, even without their main man Pena, who's I think suspended, they took the lead in the 4th minute. Valentino Yule scoring again in the 66th, and then Becca Mikkel Tatsa adding a third in the 73rd.
Player.
Surprisingly, the Jets kept a clean sheet, which goes to show how bad MacArthur's attack's going, when I think they're good for a goal or two a game, just handing it to you to make the game interesting and keep their fans on the edge of their seats. But MacArthur have walked away with a duck egg in goals and a duck egg in points, and so that really has put the pressure on them trying to cling on to the back of this top 6 pack, and it looks like they could be floating downstream and won't be featuring in finals football for a second season in a row.
They were absolute bull. You know what today?
Yeah.
They were rubbish. They were absolutely terrible. Take nothing away from Newcastle, but MacArthur is so disappointing.
So they haven't been great this year, but Ante announcing that he's leaving the club at the end of the year, does this just make things worse?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you got a coach that's not going to be there. You got players that some of them don't want to be there. They don't deserve to make the 6. I don't care about the quality that they have. They got the Villa, Janu, De Silva, Mariappa, Philip Curto. We were saying how good a signing Philip Curto was going to be at the start of the season. Right?
But is this really hard to swallow as a Bulls fan or an A-League fan in general? When
they've got no fans.
But last year they had an outstanding year first year. Now I know they've lost some real experience in Millsy and they lost some other big name players, Derbyshire. But with the players they signed and the money they spent,
look at the lineup.
Yeah, but as he said, Noon. Yep.
Much.
Davia, player of the year last year.
Janu, Tommy Juric coming off the bench. Tommy Orr.
Mariappa. It's honestly they've gone
James
out.
Meredith,
they've gone out and bought all the best brands, right? They've just absolutely smashed the shops.
The squad that they've got, they should be in the top 6 minimum.
Yep.
Minimum, right? And the start of the season that they had, right? They've just been. I can't remember.
I'm no expert, but I'm going to put this on you. If you're Ante, do you just keep it to yourself until the end of the season? Why bring it out? Why bring it out 3 weeks before?
I think it's a bit of a cop out now.
Is it a long goodbye
I think it's a cop out to say I'm leaving anyway, so my mind's not there, or the players' minds weren't there, whatever it is. I think it's just an excuse because they're going to miss the 6, and it's going to be like
he's done really good things for the Bulls, but I wish he just kept it to himself.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
I'm not a fan of a coach announcing that he's going to leave unless it's done at the start of the season and you say this is my last dance, Yeah,
I'm hanging up the clipboard,
Phil Jackson style. All right,
okay,
but not a fan.
All right, that's the end of our Revolution Roundup. Up after the break, we welcome, as we said, our new segment, TFR Allstars, where we'll tell you the team that we would like to pick for the one-off game against Spanish Giants Barcelona. Catch you after the break.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Up now, we welcome a new segment we were talking about, which is our TFR Allstars. The ALeague Allstars is back, and they're playing against the Spanish giants Barcelona the same week as the ALeague Grand Final. So we thought we'd take the reins and put together a side we think should take the pitch. Firstly, before we get to that, though, does that mean we presume players from the two teams playing in the Grand Final will be unavailable for this? Common sense says that, right?
Common sense, yes.
So if it's City and
Western United or
Victory, it's going to take a lot of good players out of the squad. I can tell you, my squad's severely heavy. Yeah, pretty heavy on the three Melbourne sides.
Yeah, look, it may happen, but let's just say hypothetical. Are we saying that we're picking from all teams? Yeah.
Yeah, but we're also saying now, if there was a game now between an All-Stars team from Melbourne's three teams against Sydney's three teams this year, it would be absolute cricket score.
Yeah, 100%.
You look at the way the Sydney have gone this year, the Bulls and the Wanderers,
100%.
Compared to Victory,
It'd be a tennis score. It'd be 6-0, 6-0, 6-2.
It would be. So, yeah, look, I'm not sure what lineup you'd go with, but I'm going with, and also not only do you have to pick your lineup, like as in your formation as well as your starting lineup and some reserves, but also an assistant coach, because obviously we're going to be the coach. So if you got to pick an assistant.
All right.
Yeah, do you want me to go first?
Who's the assistant? Who do we get to pick?
You can pick anyone.
Dwight York?
No, you can pick any coach from the current A-League teams.
Yeah, what an insult that Dwight York's going to be the coach of the A-League All-Stars, right?
Yeah, we just come back.
So if you've had a great year coaching and you're an up-and-coming coach and you want to showcase yourself,
you should be
on
rewarded.
The world stage,
yep,
you should be rewarded. Yeah,
100%.
Instead, we've got Dwight York's. I think he's coached under sixes team in Trinidad and Tobago somewhere.
Yeah, but all night, Dwight, right? He hasn't been out for a while, so this is a chance for him to come to Sydney and let his hair down.
And hang out with Bozza. Good.
All right, so the team that I would pick as our All-Stars team, I would go with a 3-5-1-2. So in goals, Jamie Young for me. I think the human force field has been fantastic. I think he's a big reason why Western United are at the other end of the table this year. And I think, as we saw on the weekend, if it wasn't for him, it could have been a lot worse against the Mariners. So Jamie Young wears the number one for me. On the bench, I would have Ivan Kellever. Now, I think it was a tough one for me. I think Birighetti's had a fantastic year. I think Oliver Sales also had a good year. But for me, both those teams have conceded too many goals. So I've gone for Ivan Kellever, considering
I'm not having Kellever.
You're not?
No. I think he's been too inconsistent. He's made a few mistakes. I think Sale or Birighetti are ahead of him in my books.
Okay, so in the back three, I've gone for a back three of, and simply because there's so many good midfielders, it means that's one less midfielder I have to leave out of the squad or leave on the bench. And to be honest, I think if you've got a good keeper like Jamie and you can play a back three and get away with it, it means you've got more firepower in attack. So I've gone for Leo Lacroix from Western United. I've gone for Nuno Reyes. Now, I know City have rotated a little bit this year. I know they've had Roston Griffiths there, Curtis Good, and they've kind of mixed things around a bit. But I still think as a quality defender, the way he plays out from the back, the way he reads a game, okay, he hasn't had as bigger impact on City this year. But I think when you have a great squad like that, sometimes it's like at Liverpool, for example, you don't get as many minutes when you've got Jota, Mane, Salah, and Bobby and so on, Origi. So it's just I suppose a punishment from having such a good squad. So I think Nuno Reyes would be my second. And the third one I'd choose in a back three is Jason Guerrier. So I think he's got speed. I think you need someone back there who'll get stuck in, and who's a little bit on the young side too. So they're the three I'd go for at the back, and on the bench I'd go for Curtis Good. I think he's been good for them, but I just don't think he would work well with the other two, the two main ones that I've picked, Leo Lacroix and Nuno Reyes, and Ben Garuccio. I think he'll allow me to change things up if I wanted to go to a back four. I think he's a guy who this year has not only shown that he's quite good in defence, but he can get forward and provide some quality service. What about you? Who would you go for?
Yeah, interesting. Well, if we're going with a back three, I like the three you've chosen. Maybe I would go. Did you have Curtis Good in there?
He was on the bench, but I've gone for...
You've gone for Reyes over... I would maybe have Good over Reyes. I think, like you said, we haven't noticed Reyes as much this year. He hasn't been as dominant, but maybe that's a good thing because you tend to only notice defenders when they make mistakes or they haven't been good. So maybe it is a good thing. I think Curtis Good, for me, deserves a spot there. I would take him over Reyes I think Grace is a great player, but I just think at the moment Curtis Good has had a better season and probably deserves that opportunity.
You'd play Good, LaCroix and Guerrier as the three at the back?
I'm not sure about Gary in a back three, right? I think
so. Then, if that's the case, then
I would maybe go a back four. So I would play Good and Lacroix. I think Guerrier's had a good season at right back. I would toss up between him and potentially Javi Lopez.
Okay,
at right back. I think he's had a good season as well. And then left back for me, I would go with Jason Davison over Ben Garuccio.
Okay.
I just think Davison's got a bit more quality. He's good off a set piece. And I think he's had a really good season for...
There is some substance in what you're saying, and I think that's why we love the game, because everyone has a difference of opinion. So both
that would probably
lines.
be... I would prefer to probably play a back four over a three and two wing backs. But that would be my decision.
So moving into the midfield, and this is why I've gone for a back three. So my midfield would be a 4-man. Did I say 4-man? No, 5-man midfield. No. 4 and 1 in front.
Two wing backs. You got 4 and 1.
Yeah. So I'd go Ben Nkalolo.
Yep.
On one side, I'd go Craig Goodwin on the other side. And then in the centre of the park, as much as, you can't fit everyone in, I would go Florin Berengay as one centre midfielder and Josh Brillante as the other. Now, I was tempted to throw in,
Come on. Mikkel Tadze.
In the midfield?
Pena.
In midfield?
You putting him up top?
No, Pena will be in, I'd play him as my number 10 in behind.
All right, keep going.
So Nkalolo, Brillante, Berengay, and Goodwin with Daniel Pena in behind. Now, I know that means that on my bench I've got Marco Rojas, Matt Leckie, Jay O'Shea and Jake Brimmer. Jake Brimmer's very unlucky, and I could have put him in the centre of the park, but I think if I had him and Florin Berengay and Pena in there, I'd have absolute prettiness and I'd have some fantastic football and chances, but I want someone in there who's going to do some dog work and do a bit of a shift, so hence why I've put in the bearded one, Josh Brillante.
Bro, I can't argue. Brillante's he does all the dirty work. I'll look. It's the All-Stars. I'm going pretty.
You are going pretty.
I'm going pretty.
You are pretty. So it would surprise me.
I think Jake Brimmer's been outstanding this year. I would have him in my midfield. I would have him, Pena, and Berengay.
Nice midfield.
That is an all-star midfield.
So
right?
if you took over and bought an A-League club tomorrow, they're the three you'd be chasing, right, for the centre of your park.
Look, I would also like a player like You'd like a Josh Brillante or someone holding a Brandon O'Neill when he's at the top of his game.
Or Kilkenny.
A Kilkenny. Look.
Do you agree with me?
Killer's maybe a bit too old for me. No, look.
Oh, God.
Wait, hold
I'm
on.
not going down this path, mate. All right.
No. If I was building a club, right?
You're building a bridge. You're building a bridge for you to walk over.
No, if I was building a club, I would go for someone a touch younger.
Would you?
Like a Brillante
would you?
Or
do you agree
O'Neill
with me here on the flank spot of Nkalolo and Goodwin, or would you find room for Leckie or Rojas?
Goodwin 100%, and I would probably go Leckie and Rojas over Nkalolo.
Okay. So you're telling me, you're going for young blokes. I've picked a young bloke over the old blokes, and you still go and tell me the opposite now.
Oh, that's on the wings, right? Different positions.
Okay,
right? Different positions.
All right, mate. I want you to explain yourself here. All right, let's go.
I think I'd go with Leckie. I'd go with Leckie and Goodwin on the wings. That would be my two starters.
All right, and moving up to the guys that put the ball in the back of the net, I've gone for, and this is simply for a combination. J-Mac picks himself. And I've also gone for Alexander Prijovic. So my two benchies would be Mikkel Tatza and Jason Cummings. I just think that if McLaren and Mikkel Tatza, they're similar in the way they play, so I think they get in each other's way, whereas Prijovic gives you that option of aerial threat. He's good at holding the ball up. He's more of your typical, your old school Ibra and those sort of guys holding a ball up, whereas J-Mac more could run off him, flick-ons and that sort of thing. So I've gone for those two with the Newcastle Jets main man, Mikkel Tetzer, and the Mariners' absolute star, Jason Cummings. What about you?
Look, J-Mac's been good, 14 goals. I think Mikkel Tadz's catching up to him. I think he's on
13. 12. Yeah, 12 or 13. Yep.
I think he's 13 now. After today's game.
After today, you're correct.
So yes. I think he's 13. So I'm going with him.
Okay.
I'm going with Mikkel Tadza up top.
Okay.
Over J-Mac. I think J-Mac's been all right, but he's been in a team that serves goals on platters, right?
Yeah, but in this team with the three
And
midfielders
you've got,
there's plenty of platters
I know you
here.
got to finish them. And I've really liked the combination of Pena and Mikkel together. And I think with even better players around them, if you got a Goodwin and a Lecky running off them, I think they could be really, really good.
Okay. So what about so if that's the case, and you've got Mikkel Tatsa as one, who's the other starting striker?
Oh, so we're playing two up top.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with J-Mac.
Okay, so J-Mac and Mikkel Tatsa. Would Prijovic be on the bench with Cummings?
I just think their speed. Prijovic, yeah, I'd maybe go for Cummings on the bench. Just something. Or actually, no. I'm going to go for Nick D'Agostino.
Okay.
All right.
Mate, I'm starting to see a massive Victory fan here. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Look,
I think they're putting in Rojas. You're pushing for you like Brillante. You're pushing for Brimmer.
I'm a Sydney fan, but I don't think they've been good enough this year. I think potentially Caceres, but do you take a Caceres over some of those other midfielders we talked about? I don't think you do.
No, look, I think he hit a patch for a while when they first lost Bratz.
Yeah.
But since then, I think the team's going so bad.
Out of position,
yeah, but I think
he's been moving around, and
I think he's suffered because of the inconsistency in the
100%.
Performance of Sydney FC this year. If he was in a team like Victory going well, the guy would have been a world beater this year.
Look, the only blessing for him is that the three Melbourne teams are in contention for the final, and two of them will probably more than likely be in that final. So if the two say there's City and Western United are in the final, or City and Victory, or Victory and Western United, whoever it is, they're going to miss out on this game. So that could be a blessing in disguise for a few other players in the league.
So before we get on to our assistant coach, who you'd have as your assistant coach, who would you give the armband to in this team? With a team full of superstars, it's definitely not Pena though. With what I've seen,
it's not Pena. What I've seen. Can't trust him.
Yeah, I can't trust him. The guy's absolutely super talented, but at the moment he can go a bit AWOL.
He's a great player. It's not Pena. You would probably pick Brillante in midfield. Is that who you're giving it to?
Look, to be honest, I would probably go one or two ways, and this will be probably surprising. I'd either go with Leo Lacroix or Nuno Reyes, just because they can see the whole game. They're both calm and cool. Very rarely do they lose their cool. And Jamie's already talking the whole time behind, and he's got an invisible armband on.
Yep.
But the other option I'd go for is Craig Goodwin. I think he's such a well-disciplined. I think he's such a good leader. He does all his talking just with his feet.
Yep.
So Craig Goodwin's another one. I think that was a very wise choice for Adelaide to make him captain, because he's not a big mouth. He doesn't carry on. He doesn't yell and scream.
He just carries himself really well.
Just the way that he delivers for the team goes to show I'm all in this.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I would have said potentially Jamie Young, just because he is a leader, and like you said, he wears the invisible armband anyway, so you might as well give him the real one.
Okay.
Plain and simple. And Craig Goodwin is a massive shout, or Matthew Leckie for me.
Okay. Who's your assistant?
God.
I've named Patrick Kusnorbo.
It's not Ruben Zadkovic.
No, but Patrick Kusnorbo is mine, because as much as I think Victory and Western United have got Popper and John Aloisi to thank for the way they've turned things around, Aloisi gives up possession, which I don't like to do. I like to dominate. I like to be a team that if we lost, you walk away with 60% possession, you had 25 chances, and you just didn't have your day in front of goal. And Victory have done a great job too, but look, he's brought in specific players, and sometimes they're a bit defensive even with the attacking players they have, whereas City seem to go for the jugular all the time. They never sit back. They never sit there and try and go for a 1-0 win or a pinch a point here or there. They're always going for goals. He's always making subs that are an attack-minded state. So for me, Patrick Kusnorbo would be my assistant, and he could hold the clipboard.
I'm not sure I could last 90 minutes next to PK.
Okay.
The way he paces up and down and he's screaming out.
What about Pappas? Maybe he could be your assistant.
Oh, look! After writing him off after the first episode of the season, I don't think
he wants to work with you.
I don't think he wants to work with me. Right?
Okay.
No disrespect. I'm going to go with Nick Montgomery from Central Coast. I think
nice selection.
What he's done with the young kids up there to get Central Coast into the top 6 now. They had such a great start to the season, and they went through a bit of a rough patch, but to turn that form around and to get them back into finals contention, I would have him as my assistant coach.
Look, I think it's a great selection, and we know also he was trialled in the two coaches experiment with the A-League earlier on in the year, which means he doesn't mind sitting in a press conference with somebody else. Yeah, so he's happy to share the stage with you.
So when they at the end of the game, when there's like 6 coaches sitting on 3 seats next to each other doing it,
like musical chairs. But the other reason I like it, that if you did go to the Mariners, would be because your brother Alex could come back. And if he was playing at the Mariners, I can go up there on a Saturday or a Sunday, get some fish and chips, and just sit in the sun and watch your brother play.
Sit in the palm tree.
Well, there's a lot worse gigs than that. So look, I think it's a pretty handy squad when you look at it, and you look at the quality of the players in there. There is some damn good players in the A-League who have performed this year, but not many from the Sydney clubs. But look, that's a different issue. But look, that's the end of our TFR All-Stars. So if you have got a difference of opinion, or if there's something that you just totally think stinks, just
if you think we're talking
tweet us,
nonsense,
send us a private message, send us something. Just let us know. If you see a VIG in the street, just yell at him and tell him he's got no idea, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But look, I think we
already get that anyway.
We had a decent, honest crack at it, and that's all you can ask. But moving on to our final part of the show, which is our clinical finish. So the first award we give out is our weekly Tom Mohammed Award. This could be a shot, a strike, a quality piece of attacking brilliance. So it's basically a bit of magic that's our goal of the week. Last week there was some good goals we were blown away by, but we were blown away by the Ibra Kunda. So he just seems to be every single week. Yeah. So and have a look at our post that we've put out about Ibra Kunda. So he's our version of a Lion in the A-League at the moment. He's just absolutely sensational. But this week there's been slim pickings, so I think there's only a few that I would put forward that, and look, they all pale in comparison by what he did last week, the number 66 from Adelaide.
Yeah, look, we can't have screamers every week.
Well, he's had 3 of those already.
Yeah, well, every time he plays, yeah.
Every time plays. So I think this week Carl Beat's done us a favour by not playing, because it would have given us another nomination for him.
He would have won it again.
Yeah, so Rojas's quality team goal for victory's third against the Phoenix was not bad. I think Hare Fornaroli's nice finish from nothing, right? It was from a nothing. He's made the space, opened his body, which is not easy to do. That could have ended up in the grandstand if you don't
very easily.
Yeah, if you don't execute it properly. But for me, I would probably go for Graham Quall's important winner for the Mariners, because these awards always come down to how do they impact the game for them. That was a big game, 2nd versus 6th, I think. It's now made the Western United slip to 3rd, and they've jumped to 5th. So it was on a seesaw. The seesaw went for them thanks to Quall's goal, and goes to show that, the Mariners are playing well at the moment, and they've got some firepower in their arsenal. So Nick Montgomery's team's not only a team to watch at the moment, and enjoy to watch, but they're a team that could cause some major problems in this back end of the important part of the season.
Yeah, they could. The only other one I maybe would have thrown in there was Blackwood's goal for Adelaide. I just thought it was a lovely cross by Goodwin. He met the ball well, power in the header's gone down. That's pretty much impossible to save for a keeper. When you head it down like that, makes it very difficult for a keeper to save. So
who would you give your award to?
That was a good piece of football. I'm going to go with Central Coast and Geraint Cole as well, just because of the importance of that goal for Central Coast and the impact that it's going to have on the title race as well.
Okay, so this week's winner was Quall for his goal, match-winning goal against Western United. He's our Tom Mohammed Award winner this week.
His brother also gets the Tom Mohammed Award for his absolute, thunderbolt tackle that he's come sliding in and
maybe he's
clean some bloke
that's the
up.
Kevin Muscat Award, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or the Roy Keane. Yeah, but moving on to this week's key games. So Saturday is so soon again, F3 Derby. I think they just played like a week or 2 weeks ago. But Jets wanting payback for the thumping a few weeks back, and Mariners on their finals march. So I think they'll be interesting, and considering the Jets had a good win today against the Bulls, they may think they've still got, look, if not a finals hope, a chance of finishing the season on a high and trying to get as many points as they can in Pappas's first season. The other 2 games I think are good and this doesn't really have a lot to do with current form, but the Big Blues, Sydney, hoping to derail their big rival Victory silverware charge. So that's another game, and Sydney's first game back after playing an unsuccessful
6
campaign.
Games winless, or they might win tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it could be a very barren run for them. So they'll be coming back to, and look, that will take away a little bit of pain if they can hurt the Victory and take silverware away from them. And Sunday's 3rd versus 4th, Adelaide entertain Western United, who are looking to bounce back after a shock 1-0 loss to the Mariners.
Yeah, look, some good football coming up, some exciting fixtures. Like I said, they're free derby, Big Blue. That might have a on the title race could impact the title race or the Premier's Plate. But look, City coming back to Perth. God, Perth will be hoping they get on the wrong flight.
No, they'll be hoping they switch flights.
End up in Bali or something.
No, they want to go. They want to go back where City came from. Have a nice holiday, good cheap food.
maybe Perth won't show up. City I don't know, but they won't be looking forward to that. Wanderers and Phoenix. They played a couple of weeks back as well, so that'll be an interesting fixture.
The best thing about watching Glory on the weekend was watching Daniel Sturridge, who was a superstar in his day, right? And when before I finished playing, I watched and felt rusty and thought, God, how have I lost it so quickly? Watching him play on the weekend goes, shit, happens to the best of them. Plays a lot better than I ever was. So it made me feel good. It made me feel real good, It reminded me of the Pitbull song, and I feel good. So that's what it reminded me of. So thank you, Daniel, for making me feel a bit better because, like I said, watching you on the weekend, sort of fake. He was doing fakes and that on himself. The players were just sitting there going, mate, that worked when you played in the Premier League 8 years ago, not now against us, So when you're on one leg, but look, it backfired. I thought, hats off to the Glory for trying to bring him in and trying to bring a big name in. Unfortunately, I think that might have been part of the reason why Garcia was shown the door probably sooner rather than later. That was something that he probably banked on heavily.
Yeah, look, we were so excited at the start of the year when we heard the news that Daniel Sturridge was coming to the A-League. Yeah, he's had injury problems. He hasn't been playing at a top level. He was playing in Turkey before that. And he was off contract, didn't have a club. So to lure a player like that to the A-League was great, and we thought, how good's this?
But he's turned out to be Istanbul.
If we can get pretty much. So disappointed, on all fronts there. I wanted to see him play. I wanted to see him do well. You want that buzz around the league with big players. We saw the impact that Del Piero had when he came here. David Villa when he was here for a little bit. Those sort of players. So. We need those big names to build the league back up again and to get it back to where it was. So just a huge disappointment that it hasn't worked out for Daniel Sturridge and Perth Glory. If
they've missed tonight's show or today's show or whatever we call it, or they've missed any of the other shows, some of the other player escape room interviews or any of these segments we've had on GK Chef and In the Know with Royo, where can they catch it, VIG?
Yeah, they can catch it all on Football Nation Radio on their platform. So download the Football Nation Radio app and listen up there. Or they can catch us on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. So, yeah, that's a wrap of a big week in football for us. And, look, keep an eye out. As we said, we're now doing video as well. So our YouTube channel. Get on YouTube, yeah. Get on YouTube, watch the full video. There's some overlays, some cool footage and things on there. Also, keep an eye out for our new Euro mini shows. So our world famous, and I'll touch on this when we do the show. Someone said it to me. World famous six-pack. Yeah, someone told me it's not your world famous six-pack. They said it's fully six-pack, a six-pack. And I was like, it's close enough, but I still don't mind that. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that too. So that's what one of the listeners sent in to us. But look, yeah, keep an eye out for that. We've got we review the big Euro leagues as well as our awards. But look, until next week, as we say, rise up and join the football revolution. We'll catch you next week.